I'm Chris Billing from Snap Accounts. Almost every vehicle operating in Europe has a secure base, and that's the safest place to park your truck. So, every fleet operator that uses overnight parking sends trucks out from their depots and leaves spaces behind. What if there were a way for other operators to use these latent spaces? How could it work in a controlled way? Well, Snap has a system that's in use every day in the UK and available to every operator that controls parking latent spaces in depots and enables any one of our 55,000 drivers to use those spaces. First of all, if somebody wants to move a vehicle from their account into a depot, they simply pick up the vehicle, which depot it belongs to, the driver name, and where they want to park it. And just say it's for today. It'll tell you how many spaces are available in the depot you've chosen, and obviously decrement them every time a space is booked. It'll work on any fleet, any depot, any country, anywhere. And as well as working with our open system, it'll work in a closed way so that fleet operators who might want to manage their own inter-depot parking can do that without being connected to the rest of the Snap system. It's just managing your own parking needs between depots, because we know that sometimes people arrive, or drivers arrive at sites and there isn't a space for them, and it's their own depot they can't get into because it's already been clogged up with other people. We have a working parking reservation model, and the benefits for fleet operators, if they use our drivers parking there, you get income provided from every space with very, very little admin. We provide all the paperwork, the payments, everything, so it's very, very simple. It's online and transparent, so all sites can see the current availability and forward knowledge of vehicle license plates that will stay each night. So each security operator will see the vehicles that are due to come in, and they know, which ones to allow into the depots. And driver, this is most important. The driver knows there's a space waiting for them. Even if they arrive at midnight, they've got a space in a secure park when they arrive. The provider has the ability to reduce or increase the available spaces with instant effect, because we know in transport things change. There's a pile up on the motorway, you're getting 5 more vehicles back at your depot, you just want to reduce the available spaces you have. You can do it instantly, and the system is totally dynamic. And also there's a possibility of restriction by customer group to prevent competitors parking in depots, which is something that obviously can be an embarrassment if a Waitrose lorry parks in a Testo's truck park. The service can work in an open manner or a closed manner, as we said, so you can have it just working in your own depots. As well as parking in the UK, there not being enough sites commercially, government holds the key to 23 sites in the UK that could be made into truck parks that are on the motorway network. There are 23 of these in the UK. I raised the subject with the Department of Transport in 2012, suggesting that maybe as they were closing libraries and schools and whatnot, they could do with the money. They spent a year or so trying to find the deeds. They then had a reorganisation in Highways England, and they don't know whose budget it will fall under. I'm not quite giving up the will to live, but it just drives me mad that actually they just don't want to do anything to help our industry. They're ideally placed because being on the motorway obviously cuts down any off-route running for fleet operators. If you want to park somewhere secure on a motorway, we would be the first people in the country to do it, and the government are holding the keys to stop it. Some people might want to save money on their fuels, and we've been working with Diesel Dynamics. They have 2 different solutions. One's simple tuning solution, and the other is a dual fuel solution. Now, the advantage of dual fuel is that you're blending gases and diesel to create a much more efficient burn. This means that you reduce the emissions, the harmful emissions that come out of the pipe. You increase the fuel economy. You've got cleaner engines, and you can also include things like rev and speed control to ensure that your drivers are actually optimising the operation of the vehicle. What we do with Diesel Dynamics is that we have seen with Adnams, for instance, who are in a rather unique position in that they grow barley, they then use the barley for beer, and then put the barley through a digester to turn it into fuel, biofuel, but they have shown savings of 40% in their fuel costs. That's not a normal commercial situation, but there are other fleet operators that are consistently saving over 20% by using a solution of blending LPG or other gases into diesel to provide a much cleaner burn and reduce their running costs of the vehicles. Now, to give you an idea, a vehicle perhaps doing 75,000 miles a year, it could equate to perhaps £7,500 to £8,000 saving a year. The cost of the installation is about the same amount of money. So if you run a vehicle for 3 years, the first year will cost you, you'll get the return on investment after the first year, you'll then be making money for the next 2 years, and then you can move the device to a new vehicle. This then gives you, for £1,000 or so, another lease of life with the same equipment for another 3 years, and we expect the life expectancy to be about 8 or 9 years on one of the units. Sometimes the modifications might cost a bit more, might be £1,500, £2,000 to move from vehicle to vehicle, but the savings are considerable, and also the damage to the planet is reduced because of the NOx emissions being reduced by up to 90%, which is incredible. I don't understand why the government don't get more on the bandwagon of this, because there is so much more that can be done in terms of improving efficiency by still using fossil fuels but reducing the dependence on them and reducing how much you're using of it. We represent 2,000 fleet operators and over 50,000 drivers who use our service, and I must admit that they all think we do a wonderful job. So if you aren't followers of Snap, please join. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.